Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Raw is Ginger.
Welcome to Raw's Ginger, everybody, and we are going to be breaking down the grandest event of them all, WrestleMania 39, parts 1 and 2. And I am joined, as always, by Kevin Tierney and the Beast Incarnate, not Brock Lesnar, John Toner. How are you getting on, man?
Aye, not bad. It's not the first time that I've been called that for different reasons.
Yeah, I have really had to hold back from saying it just to be safe. It was purely because you've got the Brock Lesnar t-shirt rocking up, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I knew you were getting it before WrestleMania. I just wasn't sure you were going to have it up tonight. And Kev, you've got a very special mug for this occasion as well.
I've also got the ET with the alien.
Nice. Mine's
And
just
I thought
plain green.
I'd break out the big guns.
Oh, the £2 mug. Again, as we were saying off air before Toner came in, we were like, he's saying, like, this is the one I have to hold with both hands.
I know.
I was like, this is the wrong time for Toner to
actually
come
need
in
to
the
hold it like
conversation.
I've already had to glue the handle back on because it can't actually handle the amount of tea that's in it.
Oh man, that is brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. But that's better than the Sports Direct mug. I mean, Sports Direct mug, just, yeah. That one I tried to actually pawn off to Rangers fans, and they were all like, "No, get to." So what we're going to do, everybody, we're going to talk about night one, and we're going to talk about night two, and then we're also going to talk about the recent announcements regarding WWE and UFC. Well, but I'm going to start off with, what the fuck is Vince McMahon's look about now?
That is amazing. I love it.
You know what it's like? Well, you guys remember Still Game?
Aye.
Remember when Stevie the Bookie came back as his twin Frankie? That's what it's like to me.
With the black, the shoe polish.
Yeah.
I think he's just assuming that he's assuming now that he's grown that tash that none of these sex charges are going to stick. Do you know what I mean? That's it. Yeah, they're not.
It's just like he's came back as Vincent McMahon. He's like, okay, I am my twin brother from Italy. I buy on his behalf. It's like, it's a bad day when I can grow a better mustache than Vince McMahon.
I'm surprised that you didn't see pictures of him going.
I was waiting for it.
Well, I suppose it'd be like that because it's paper thin. It's like,
yeah, his mustache is so weird. It's like the top part of your lip is bald. And then the bottom part of it, it just looks like someone has just what one of those magic markers that you used to do when you were a kid and just traced over it. I mean,
but if you look at the flip side there, irrelevant as to why, but everybody's fucking talking about it. He's got publicity. Again,
that's it.
Irrelevant for what it is. He's got publicity again.
Nobody is talking about the scandal though. But what is his moustache all about?
It's all about the tash.
Oh no, I'm still talking about
the It's genius.
I'm still making sure the scandal is brought up because now he looks like even more of a sexual predator.
And I like him. See, since he grew that tash, I like him.
That's what's fucking weird.
I mean, I'm getting that fucking photo of his face with a moustache printed onto a t-shirt. I'm wearing that.
In fairness, it's better than when I saw the Raw after SmackDown, you know, where Brock's like flipping the birds and it's Vince McMahon's head on his body.
Yes.
But the new version is
that's
fucking freaky. That's terrifying. But right, we'll jump into to WrestleMania Night 1. I'm moderating because I didn't have WWE Network, so I couldn't watch it live. But my friends here definitely did because I was keeping up with them. So what I'll do is I'll do the basics of what happened in each match. We'll get a rundown from each of you and just like your own star rating. Because I know I think Kev was more positive about WrestleMania, and Toner was a lot more negative for reasons that we will get into. And anybody that's watched the channel will definitely know why Toner will be so pissed at one result of a match. But let's dive in. So we'll start off.
I wonder if it's the same one that I'm.
It's definitely the same one. It'll be definitely the same one that we think about it. So we'll start off with the opener, which was John Cena versus Austin Theory. Austin Theory defeated them by pinfall for the United States Championship. Time 11 minutes and 20 seconds. So we'll start with Kev. What was your thoughts on the match?
Well, it was a typical John Cena match. You know, there was nothing out of the ordinary. You knew what was going to happen. You knew the spots that were going to happen. There was going to be a high spot for Austin Theory, and you knew that they weren't going to put the title on John Cena. He's not coming back full time. He's got too many films coming out in the next couple of years. He's going to be touring. He's not going to be there enough to be a fighting champion. And he said himself that if he's not going to be there full time, he doesn't want a belt. He doesn't want to do what Brock done. Fair enough. Brock Lesnar's got that clout to be able to say, I want the title. I'll fight 3 times a year with it. And
in fairness, like,
fair enough.
Cena's got that clout as well. He's just got he's just not a toolbox.
Yeah. It's different mentalities between them.
Yeah.
But
Tony, what did you think since what you were a bit more
stayed awake for the match, to be honest?
What?
I found it to be very boring. I mean, there was nothing really in it. And I get what Kev's saying, typical John Cena match. I mean, I thought it was, again, you understand why, but massively below par from, I get he's not active anymore, but from what you normally expect. I just felt it done a job for them wanting to put Theory over, but that was simply it. There was no shocks, no surprises. Trying to push the kind of heel factor on Theory a bit more with some of the stuff that he'd done, the biting and things like that, which was fair enough. But
I genuinely thought Luis Suarez had entered the building.
There was no shocks to it. There was nothing that you would sit and go, "Oh wow," that grabbed my attention.
That's true. Right, so quick star rating from you. So if you had to do like your David Meltzer, what ratings, Kev?
Probably 1.5.
Whoa, and you were positive on it. Fucking hell, what's Toner going to be? Right, Toner?
I don't feel like it deems a star rating.
Oh, man. Right, so we move swiftly on to the Street Profits defeated Braun Strowman and Ricochet, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders via pinfall. It was your kind of typical men's WrestleMania showcase fatal 4-way tag match. That lasted 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Toner, did you feel that this went on for considerably longer than 8 minutes and 30 seconds?
Yes. Again, I'll be honest and say I would say it was probably enjoyable in parts. There was a lot of kind of decent spots. It was fast paced because of who was in it, which made for it to be entertaining. Again, and you'll probably find this from myself and probably from a lot of people to be a recurring theme. It wasn't a surprise who won. There was. I didn't find it to be a shock factor on the winners of the match.
Yeah. It seemed to be, what for me, Kev, there was a lot of high spots for such big guys. It was a kind of, your typical, that seemed like a Vince match to me, big sweaty men beating big sweaty men. And there was a lot of sweat. But a lot of high spots as well, especially Braun Strowman. I was like, fucking hell. I didn't know he could climb.
I don't think he even think he thought he could climb. But because he's been doing all this work with Ricochet, Ricochet's like, look, I've worked with people who are like, twice as wide as you, twice the size of you, and they do like backflips off the top rope. It's easy enough to train them to do it. So it's taking him out of his comfort zone and getting him to do like higher spots safely. Because if there's anybody who knows how to do a high spot safely, it's Ricochet. And you've seen the jumps and flips that he can do.
Yeah, but, we all know the one at the Royal Rumble with Logan Paul.
Exactly. But again, there was no surprises in the match. It had all the spots. You knew Braun Strowman was going to run around the ring and take out at least 30 people. It happens. You knew Ricochet was going to backflip over the top rope at least twice. You knew somebody was going to go through a table.
Makes sense. The star ratings, we'll start with Toner on this one. Star rating?
I gave it probably a 1.5. I like some of the kind of big spots in it, and for big guys, it was relatively impressive for that.
Okay, yeah.
Same, probably about 1.5. It was an enjoyable match, considering all the other matches that should have been even more enjoyable.
Fair enough. And since we did bring up Logan Paul, ironically, he was next on the card with Seth freaking Rollins, who defeated him in a singles match, 16 minutes and 15 seconds. And also KSI made an appearance as, a bottle of Prime energy drink. So, Kev, thoughts on that one?
I didn't enjoy it.
Really?
I didn't. It was... I knew every spot that was going to happen as soon as they were walking into the ring. I was like, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. That bottle's going through a table. Even before I knew it was KSI, I was like, that bottle's going through a table.
Yeah. A lot of people thought it was R-Truth at first, which was quite,
understandable.
Yeah,
yep.
I can get it, but a lot of people have said, Logan Paul has been like a kind of surprise card, and especially in terms of celebrity wrestlers, and one of the most kind of talented out of them all. Based on this performance, Toner, would you say that's true, or would you say it's false?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think overall he's been a surprise package. I mean, I don't think anybody expected him to come in and for him to kind of take to it and be as entertaining and as athletic as he was. I mean, he's clearly got ability and talent there. I mean, that in itself isn't in question. Kind of very similar to Kev, though. I found it very predictable. What was going to happen was quite predictable. I mean, annoyingly, we talking about him, I have enjoyed his matches more than I wanted to when he first came in, going way back to when he first debuted. But again, and I think for me, this is probably a common theme of Mania this year, but very predictable. You could kind of see what was going to happen. And just to give you an example, with one of my mates, when we were talking about the build-up to Mania before it, we marked out every match and I predicted the winners of every match. And I've never done that before in any previous Manias because there's that many shock factors in it.
Yeah. So in terms of star ratings...
I was only off by one.
We'll be interested to see which... We'll be interested to see which one it is.
Actually, it was the Street Profits one. I was like, they'll probably get Braun Strowman and Ricochet to win. I was like, but if they don't win, if something happens, it'll be the Street Profits, because they're building they two as something. And
see, that was the one I was 50-50 on and went with the Street Profits because of how much I feel they've been pushed slightly more recently, which was the reason I swayed towards that.
Right. In terms of star ratings, Kev? Oh wait, Kev's having a drink, chugging his mug. £2 mug. £2 mug.
2 star.
2 star with a £2 mug. Toner?
Aye.
I have got to agree with Kev on that. I would say 2 stars, but I think one of the reasons as well, and I don't know if Kev will agree that I'm giving it 2 stars, is because, again, when you look at other matches in the card, this probably fell into the more entertaining than ones that you expected you were going to be glued to and in awe of and loving every minute of it.
Yep. Interesting. And speaking of being in awe, because, well, we're all guys, we grew up with certain divas in this. Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch defeated Damage Control, which is Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky by pinfall in a 6-women tag team match, which lasted 14 minutes and 40 seconds. I am intrigued to hear what this for the next one's going to be. So we're going to let Kev go first this time because I know which match is up after this.
Usually, with matches with Trish and Lita, they're so fast paced. But when was the last time they were in the ring?
We was in the ring relatively recently. I mean, they won the tag titles, her and Becky Lynch, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's she's in for a minute, 2 minutes, because she's a Hall of Famer. They don't want to push her too much. They don't want her to get injured again, so they give her the last 2 minutes. She comes in, does the spots, gets the pin. That's how they're making it out to be. This isn't going to be a long tag run with the titles for her, because you could see at WrestleMania how slowed down she was compared to how she was 20 years ago. And fair dues, everybody's slower than they were 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say like can any of us run faster than we did 20 years ago? And also like some of
Exactly.
the pbackstage photos, like Lita actually had like quite a bad hit, what in her eye. What her eye was really badly bruised.
Aye.
But to her, like there was also a bit controversy around this because Bailey had put out that cryptic tweet afterwards, signaling that she might be out of the company for good. Do you think this is a match that she can be like, right, I can go out on this one because it was a good match? Or do you think, no, come back, try and get another blinder and then do it?
No, I mean, I would think it wouldn't be a match any of them would want to leave the company in. Well, arguably, maybe Trish and Lita, because they've kind of been there, done it. They've achieved what I'd assume they wanted to achieve back in the day.
Yeah.
But for active current stars, I wouldn't have thought so. And the annoyance for me is, I mean, Bailey's probably one of the most underused and underutilized divas there is. Her mic work, her ring work is phenomenal. I don't think she gets the push as much as she deserves, perhaps because they're not all in her the way they are with the likes of Charlotte, Becky, and Bianca and things. But I definitely think she's a great worker. I don't think it was a great match, and I've got to massively agree with Kev. Lita comes in, she does what she does, but you can tell. I mean, Father Time catches up with us all, and this massively shows in the likes of Trish and Lita, and this is why they've got them in this kind of match, because they wouldn't be able to go a singles match that's got any kind of stability to it. They have to put them in a match like this where they can have rests, where it can get carried a bit more.
Right.
Like the Royal Rumble as well. See, like the Women's Royal Rumble, they bring back all the Hall of Famers and all the people that were back. Like what you keep saying with Ivory, they brought her in, she came down screaming and shouting, she got chucked out, and she went back screaming and shouting.
Yeah.
It's things like that they can do with the people that were here like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. In fairness, that was a good thing though that they done with her. That was class.
But it works for something like the Royal Rumble. It would have worked for, like, say, a mini battle royal at WrestleMania. They could have even done that. And then having, like, the most of the match was Becky getting done in.
Yeah.
It was like 6 to 8 minutes of her getting done in. And then the rest of it was Trish and Lita tagging in and getting back.
Yeah.
But it was like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and then the match was done.
Yeah.
So and it was very slow paced as well.
So in terms of star ratings, Kev?
Probably another 2.
I'm actually quite impressed that you gave it that high. What about you, Tom?
1.5.
That seems more like what I would be thinking. Strap yourselves in, folks. This one is the one that I am really looking forward to. Rey Mysterio beats Dominic Mysterio in a father-son match.
I'm just going to take these after now, so I don't hear the shouting.
A singles match which lasted 14 minutes and 55 seconds. Right, Toner, let's get this out of the way. Go, just go.
Right, I mean, first of all, I wasn't surprised in him winning, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, coming out with Guerrero's kind of signature car and theme wasn't a surprise. But the fact that they had him fucking win that when Dominic is clearly one of the top heels in the company, I just think is fucking ridiculous.
But at the same time, when you look at one of my favorite WrestleMania matches, WrestleMania 17, the Shane v Vince ultimate soap opera drama. And he was the ultimate heel. Shane kicked his ass with an assist of Linda McMahon boot to the balls. That's essentially like the 21st century version of that, I personally believe. For that, because you had the whole like the mum giving the son like a bitch slap, you had the family drama around it. They even kept the kayfabe for Mysterio's Hall of Fame induction, which must have been for his son. He would have wanted to celebrate his dad's accomplishments in real life, and he must have been fucking heartbroken that he had to keep that kayfabe up.
I wouldn't have thought so.
I personally would have, but then again, yeah, I know that with you. We all know that. Well, that'll be in a later episode, kids, when he gives his thoughts on Rey Mysterio going into the Hall of Fame. But yeah, I thought overall, like the way they played it with the story and the drama, I thought fair dues. That was they did the job that kind of like you expected from a WrestleMania 17 Vince v Shane. They did the job, and the fact that Ray came out not just in the Low Rider but with Snoop Dogg, you can't diss Snoop Dogg Toner because you went and seen him live.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I agree with everything he does.
Well,
Coming out with Rey Mysterio had to be a low point of his career.
Well, there was other points that happened in the night involving Snoop Dogg, but we'll get to that in a minute. But Kev, right, from your point of view, I think we should mute Toner for this one.
No, I actually agree. The fact that they've built Dom up so much as this big heel in this heel faction that they're trying to push. They've done all this work, and then they let Ray win.
At the same time, like some feel good moments need to happen.
Who felt good with that? Who felt good with that?
I did. I personally, and if my sons get to the age where like, I'm actually still alive to kick their asses, I'd be okay with that.
The thing is, though, they're trying to build this tag team match now at Puerto Rico.
That's true.
That's why they're like, we'll give Ray the win here, and then they can lose at Puerto Rico because we've just put him into the Hall of Fame. He has to have a win. This match in Puerto Rico can be his last match. Because the rules are you always go out on your back. You always go out in a loss.
Yeah, but he said he's not going out until he's 50, but we'll see how that goes. But oh God, I can't believe I'm going to ask this. Tora, what's your star rating?
0.5.
Kev?
Probably about 1.5.
Okay, fair dues. Right, we will move swiftly on from that one. I wrote to his mammy, Rhea Ripley, who defeated Charlotte Flair in a singles match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. The second longest match on the card, 23 minutes and 35 seconds. One thing I actually do want to ask before we get into the match, do you think the reason that maybe they didn't go down the route with like the whole Dom being a heel thing is that a lot of people are actually kind of rooting for Rhea Ripley, even though she's meant to be, a bitch. She's meant to be a heel, but people are rooting for her and cheering for her. She's kind of got that Stone Cold Attitude era thing going on.
I think it's the story and the journey that they're rooting for, though. From what she's done in the company before, getting into the faction, what she's kind of built up to do. I think a lot of people are rooting and cheering for the story and the journey that she's been on, as opposed to the group that she's associated with.
In terms of the match, Kev, I think this was actually like a really solid match. There was really strong spots. Seeing Charlotte Flair land on her face is always fucking funny. But thoughts?
I've never seen anybody land on their face as well as what Charlotte Flair does. Because she always puts herself in a place where it's like, right, I'm just going to flatten my face. It just so happened to be right on the corner of the ring. It's like, oh, I bet you that was there. And then you see the big cut there. It's like, that was so.
Yeah, not as big as some of the cuts that happened in the next night, but we'll get to that.
But no, I think this was probably one of the more enjoyable matches for the day. Some of the other matches should have been more enjoyable. But as soon as you see people walking out, it's like, yeah, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. And this is one that I thought, this could actually go either way. Because it was going and it's like, are they going to put the belt on Rhea? They should put the belt on Rhea, but are they? Are they going to try and keep Charlotte because she keeps threatening to walk and go into AEW with her husband? And they're like, oh no, we'll give you the title, And maybe they've promised her that she'll get another title run so she can have 17. So she can outdo her dad.
Maybe. But again, he would always just go, that's women's wrestling. Eventually, because you know what Flair's like.
He'll just say, oh no, it was 21 times I won it. There was 8 times that they couldn't. There was one time I didn't have it and I won it in Puerto Rico or I won it in Cuba, and then they said that couldn't.
Yeah, that's very true. So, in terms of match rating, what, Kev?
I'd probably give this one a 3.
Respectable, definitely. Toner?
This one, I'm honest, I'm going to give a 3.5. I found it to be, again, when you're comparing this to what else we had to endure, I found it enjoyable. I definitely thought that Rhea should win, and that's who I predicted to win. But then, partway through it, you doubted yourself.
Yeah.
Like, is she going to? And, that was the kind of what this match kind of gave. And you could see as well a lot of kind of good spots in it, a lot of back and forth. And it was a bit more of a brawl than what I definitely expected the match to turn out to be as well.
Yeah. No, obviously after a big match like that, you do need a wee kind of like a filler, a bit of a cool down match, and the impromptu one that got delivered by Pat McAfee defeating The Miz via pinfall, which only lasted 3 minutes and 40 seconds, definitely had that about it. So, thoughts?
I mean, for fuck's sake. There's feel good factors, there's bringing people back, but Pat McAfee, I mean, what's the Miz ever done to now just be a punch bag for a fucking idiot with a microphone?
Oh man. What did you notice Michael Cole's gaff as well? That saying that Pat McAfee was undefeated at WrestleMania. I'm like, are we just erasing that Vince match then?
Yep.
Yeah, I think you've kind of got to.
Yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, he still got his ass kicked by what I know, sexual allegations, man. But in terms of for it coming on,
that's an old guy that pays his wages. So fair enough.
That's true.
Yeah, we'd all took that ass kicking.
Exactly. How much you paying me? No bother.
Probably. But in terms of the fact that it was basically there for filler to get the crowd kind of settled back down again before it went into the main event of night one. I think it done the job, Kev?
I think it did. I mean, for some reason, the audience seemed to like Pat McAfee, and I don't understand why. I really don't. On the mic, it was so annoying. It was just stupid. And it's like, you go back and you look at like the colour commentary people that you've had. You had Jesse the Body Ventura, right? Heel people loved to hate him, right? You had Bobby the Brain Heenan. Heel people loved to hate him. You had Jerry the King Lawler. Heel people loved him. They didn't love to hate him, they just loved him. Paul Heyman, ultimate heel. People love him. Pat McAfee, annoying prick. He just doesn't fit into the colour commentary people.
Right. Should we give this one a star rating?
No.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the main event then. Tag team title match. Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Excuse me. Well, that is not me calling bullshit. I actually did think this was a really good match. Obviously, Sami and Kev defeated the Usos. 24 minutes, 15 seconds, the longest match on the card. Toner, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, result on it not surprising, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thought there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of good spots, and it was kind of similar to before, where yes, I had picked out Sami and Kev to win it, but during it began to doubt myself. Like, oh no, maybe they're not going to do that. Maybe they're going to go a different route. Found it to be enjoyable. I had all the kind of spots in it from each of the guys that you expect.
Yep.
I didn't realise it had lasted as long as that, to be fair. Although I sat and watched it live, I obviously didn't take the times and how long things lasted. Didn't realise it lasted as long as that, which is normally a good sign. When I didn't think it lasted as long, I actually thought it was a quicker match than that. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that match. I would actually say out of night one, definitely was my favourite match probably one of my favourite matches throughout the entirety of WrestleMania.
Fair enough. Kev?
Same. I knew that they were going to put the titles on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, because if they didn't, that stadium was getting ripped apart. There wouldn't have been a night 2. But I didn't realise it was nearly a 25-minute match. Sitting watching it, and it's like, I thought it was like a 15-minute match. And then when I went through it later on, and I was looking, I was like, God, that's nearly 25 minutes. That could have went an extra 10, 15 minutes, and I would not have noticed that it was that long. But it was like one of the most, in fact, I think it was the most enjoyable match on the card.
Yeah, especially like with the kind of with the storytelling as well. They nailed the story to perfection with it. Like they couldn't have done any better. But well, there's obviously someone that says, yeah, they could have, but and a ginger won, so I'm fucking happy.
And they'd been building this whole thing for like a year.
Yeah, roughly about 8 months, 9 months, roughly. It's been building. So, right, star ratings.
I'd give this one a 4.
4, very, very good, very respectable. Toner.
Total agreement, 4.
Brilliant. Right, so before we move on to night 2, let's have your final thoughts on night 1 and a star rating for night 1 itself. And Toner, we'll start with you.
I mean, overall, I found it to be, a couple of enjoyable matches, but pretty predictable. There was no real shock factor in appearances or spots that made me kind of go, so in that basis, going to need to look at giving it 2.5.
Respectable for you. Halfway
that's
point.
Push. I think that the last 2 matches, taking away the Pat McAfee,
we didn't count that one.
Yeah,
we didn't count it. Well, so no, respectable for you, especially when it's a night that has Rey Mysterio on the card. Well, I think that is a very I think that's a very respectable one, but I'm sticking with 2.5. That was your final answer. Fuck you, Kev.
I forgot all about Mysterio being on that.
I can mute you, by the way. Kev, yours.
I'd have to agree, just because, I mean, where WrestleMania, it's supposed to just get bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes. It got to here with the first match, and it just stayed there until it got to the Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair match, and then they jumped it up, and then the tag match jumped it. But 2.5 for the entirety.
Okay. Well, I think that's quite a respectable result. We are going to take a quick break for our sponsor before we dive into WrestleMania Night 2. Oh God, this one's going to be interesting.
This video is brought to you in association with W Energy Blend. Use the coupon code GingerMediaLimited to get 10% off your next purchase. Link in the description.
Once again, big thank you to W Energy for sponsoring Raw as Ginger. And hopefully once we have money, I'll actually be able to buy some of your products soon. So we probably will need the energy drinks, because we're now going to cover night 2 of WrestleMania 39. And we'll start off with Toner's thoughts on the Beast incarnate himself, Brock Lesnar, defeating Omos with MVP by pinfall in a singles match that only lasted 4 minutes and 55 seconds. What was your thoughts on it, buddy?
I mean, it's kind of what we've came to expect from Brock matches really in recent times. It wasn't long. It wasn't a fast match.
Yeah.
I think the difference in this was at the beginning of it, he looked, like he was kind of shook. That was the whole purpose of it.
Yeah.
But then he had a spot where he was picking Omos up and he was F5 on him. It was always going to happen. That's what I felt they'd been doing weeks to build it up to. In fairness, probably one of the few things I felt they built up kind of well. Was he going to be able to do it well? I knew he was, but was he going to do it? Was he going to get the chance to do it? Which he did. Picked up the win. Didn't really think it to be a massive shock. Probably a more disappointing Brock match, but then in recent years, these kind of short matches are what we've came to expect.
True. Well, but in terms of how Brock was shook, I mean, that's the first time that I've really seen Lesnar been manhandled in any type of way. What and did you think that was kind of the smart play, Kev? Did they give him a little bit of credit before Brock put him on his ass, essentially, to kind of keep that so it doesn't outright bury him?
Well, I mean, the thing is, they bring in all these people to try and build them up, and then they put them in against Brock Lesnar. He's got complete creative control, and then it's like, Brock's not going to take a loss if he doesn't want to. He'll do the spots to put him over, but he's not going to take the loss. You should have put him somebody in there who would take a loss to him, because they're trying to build Omos as something big that nobody can stop, and then all of a sudden they're putting him in a match with Brock Lesnar, but he's getting beat. It's not going to be a surprise to anybody. But the whole build-up, so is he going to lift him? Is he going to lift him? It's been the only thing that's built up well for this match, because it's like, Brock's going to win. I mean, he's actually... I remember I was watching a video, and it was a Big Show, and they were saying they were watching Brock train. It was him, Big Show, and Mark Henry. They were training. And then Mark Henry's like that. I'm the world's strongest man, but I bet you Brock could lift the both of us. And Big Show went there and was like, he thinks you could lift us both. I don't. And he lifted them both. Big Show's like that. It's like two behemoths, and he just lifted us, and then lifted, and it's like, and I can believe it. It's like,
yeah, definitely, because it's Brock.
Exactly.
Like, match ratings will start with Twitter.
2, and I do believe that to be a slight push on what it probably should get, but I found the spot. Yeah, I found the spot impressive enough, to be fair. And you know, although he did get the win, you did see that Amos wasn't getting buried.
Yeah.
For it. So when you look at the kind of entirety of the picture, I thought, you know, it kind of done what they needed it to do. So that's why I would go with a 2. And again, it's when you look at some of the other matches in the card. 2.
Kev, what about you?
I probably about a 2 as well. It done what it was supposed to do. They didn't completely bury Omos, which I thought is something that could have happened, but luckily it didn't. Because they can build him as like an unstoppable force. I mean, you just look at him, it's like, nah, you're all right.
Well, kind of jumping too far forward, if you've seen the next night in Raw, they were very quick to have him out again, dominating Elias.
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep that there. And they did kind of talk up the Brock element of it as well. So obviously it's an angle that they're clearly going to be pushing.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll discuss the Raw after WrestleMania after this as well, because there was some interesting things and some interesting developments that happened that I think we do need to address. And especially because I also think that there's not really much to talk about in the next match, because it was, again, WrestleMania showcase, but it was for a fatal 4-way tag team match, and it was for the women. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defeating Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya and Shotzi, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, and it was defeated by submission. From the reports I've read, it didn't seem like Ronda or Shayna actually did anything. Was that the case?
Pretty much.
Yep.
So, well, a lot of people were saying it was quite. No, it was like it is what it is match, but like the men's showcase match was better than the women's. What do you guys think?
It was definitely. It was such a slow match. Nothing exciting about it. I did not enjoy this match at all. And the fact that the two UFC people won, and then all of a sudden, the merger between UFC, it's like, right, so that's why they get the win. And it's like,
I didn't even think that the win was in question. I mean, even though they never get involved in the match, you still waited for the point that, oh, when are they going to win this?
Aye.
So do you think it was like just purely a political move? What have the two UFC ladies win?
Personally, I do, because you know what they're like. WWE, they'll bend over backwards for anybody that's getting into business with them.
That's true. You think about the amount of like sponsors that were out over the two nights as well. Like again, just for what quickly back, just for the Rey Mysterio one, like it's meant to be this big blood feud, father and son, and there's a cinnamon toast, what we kind of like essentially a shredded wheat kicking about, and you're like, dude, you just step to the side. Unless you're going to be used to hit someone, go away. But yeah, a lot of people are now saying that it looks like, it could be a Rousey, Shelby is like a tag team that's going to be going forward. So, because you watch UFC as well, do you think that's a good idea if they're trying to kind of promote this, this merger?
I mean, to be fair, even before the merger, Rousey's kind of had her pick of it goes on. A lot of the time and what she's wanted to do and how she's wanted to do it, she's done it. I mean, she's been a lot of time reported as not being heavy in the women's tag team division, not enjoying it or liking it, but then has also come out and said that her being involved in the tag team division would make it more exciting. So whether they're trying to get her to put her money where her mouth is in that one, but I don't find it an exciting tag team, don't find anything they do. Rousey, I'm not saying I was a massive fan, but I liked some of her single stuff in the earlier days that she done. Probably fell away to the latter stages of it, but as part of a tag team, no, don't find that appealing in the slightest.
I mean, you can't deny that, she can fight, clearly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she didn't hold that belt for as long as she did because she can't take a beating. But when you change it up to like the scripted and how it's going there, it's like she showed that she can do it. But it's like she showed that she's done it, and then they're trying to push her as this heel, and it doesn't really work as well, I don't think.
Right, so in terms of star rating for the match, Tora?
1.
Kev?
I'd say half.
Another rare one where Kev is actually rating less than Tora. Very interesting. So we'll jump to the next match. This is the one that has been said as the best match of the entire WrestleMania for both nights. So I'm intrigued to hear what you guys think. So Gunther defeated Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, and it was a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Defeated by pinfall in 16 minutes and 40 seconds. But Kev, what do you specifically think of Gunther as an Intercontinental Champion? Do you think he's kind of brought the prestige back to it?
A wee bit. They're not using him as much as they should. I mean, this is like the first WrestleMania that the Intercontinental title's been fought for 2 years. It hasn't been fought for, and it's supposed to be the fighting man's title, the working man's title, and they've not been doing that. But putting it on Gunther, who, as we know, he can wrestle, he can hit as well. You see that. But I was actually shocked that they didn't put it on Sheamus, because I know he's on his way out soon. I mean, he's been there for near enough 12, 13 years now. And it's the only belt that he hasn't held. And I thought, this might be the time to put it on him. As the match was progressing, I was like, no, it's just going to stay on Gunther. I went into it thinking they'll keep it on him, and then they'll do a build-up, and then maybe he'll get it. But then it's like, no, maybe they'll put it on him. And it changed, because it's like, oh no, maybe they'll put it on back on Drew. And then it's like, nah. But this was probably one of the more enjoyable matches, especially of this night.
Tora?
Yeah, no, I found it an enjoyable match. Again, I didn't think there was a major surprise in who had won it overall. Probably the right decision to keep it on him. It was pretty physical. There was a few kind of decent spots in it. You could tell with what they put into it. Gunther, I think, has been impressive, but there's not been enough of a push on him for him to kind of, move up to the next level. I would say there's got to be a lot more kind of one-on-one matches with a higher end of opponent coming into it for him to kind of get that push. That's why I know a lot of people are kind of high on him, getting that push to the next level. Definitely think it's there in him, but again, it's all based on the work that's done between now and, for example, he was asked, where did he see himself next year in the interview after? And he says headlining Mania next year, which I think is definitely a possibility, but it's all in the push and the work that he gets done. I mean, when you've seen physically how he looked 6 months, a year ago to now, very impressive. And when you see the kind of brutality and the kind of physicalness of his matches, I do find him an impressive guy. I would just like to see him take that step up now.
In terms of match rating?
I'd say probably about a 3 for this one.
Tona?
I'd say a 3 is fair on this.
Yeah. Well, I would maybe say, well, you're probably right in that one. But do you guys agree that this was the best match of both nights?
I'd say it was the second best.
Right. Tona?
Yeah, I wouldn't have said it was the best.
Right. Cool. So we shall move on to the singles match for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair defeated Asuka by pinfall. 16 minutes and 5 seconds. Start with Tona on this one.
Probably lasted 16 minutes longer than it had to.
There we go. There we go. He's back.
I mean, it was boring, wasn't it? I actually genuinely do think I'm probably not the best person to ask about this, because after 2 or 3 minutes into this match, I went to the toilet and to get a drink.
Fair enough.
The only match I'd done that with, but it had no intrigue to it. And when I come back, sat down, seen the finish of the match, it wasn't a shock.
Yeah, there didn't seem to be like a lot of kind of build up to the match either. So there was nothing really kind of to kind of get your attention with it, at least from what I'd seen beforehand.
There's been a wee bit in the kind of Raw and in the kind of Raws and stuff, a wee bit of things going on with them, but they're very up on Bianca Belair, and they have been for they put the belt on her, which is fair enough. She's an impressive athlete, an impressive champion, but it just means that when she's going to get beat, there's going to be this big build to it. There's going to be, this big intrigue around it, or it's going to be an instant shock factor where somebody bounces in and beats it in 6 seconds.
I think it should be that. That would be a better one, because people would not expect it.
Yeah. And we've seen it happen before, and for me, that's the only way that she's going to drop the belt. It's either going to be a shocker, like she gets beat in 6 seconds, or it's an all-out kind of brawl that she goes away with her head held high, but not her title.
What did you think of the match, Kev?
It was, considering who was in it, it was such a slow match. I mean, you're saying it was 16 minutes. I thought it was like 26 minutes.
Wow.
It just dragged on. And I am a really big fan of Asuka. I followed her stuff in Japan. And when she was in Japan, she was brutal. And this is tame compared to the stuff that she was doing in Japan. And it's like, I was expecting so much more, considering it is 2 athletes, and then it was just that, and it's like, why?
Star ratings, Tona?
1.
Yeah.
Half.
Oh,
half.
Another one. You think that's mainly because you know like Asuka's previous?
I think it is, and it's like, put her in and let her do what she used to do, let her be as brutal as she was.
Fair enough.
That'll build up a match.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you could possibly get worse off the back of that, but somehow they managed to. Because the next spot is very interesting, to say the least. Here comes the money. There goes the money. Here comes Snoop Dogg. There goes Snoop Dogg, essentially. Miz comes out looking for another challenger. Shane McMahon comes out, does his usual. He's heavy breathing, the sweaty, he punches. Then, like father, like son, quad goes. Every saying it's the quad, and other people are saying it's the knee. Do you think it's the quad or do you think it's the knee?
It was the worst fake dive I've seen in a long time.
Right. So, do you think it was the quad or do you think it was the knee?
I mean, whatever it was fucking embarrassing.
Oh my goodness.
But the only thing that I would say, though, is for the one time throughout the entirety of WrestleMania, I can honestly say I didn't fucking expect that. I didn't expect to hear, here comes the money, see him coming out with shuffling, and within, 44 seconds of coming out, was rolling about the ground and then getting ushered away from the side of the ring. I didn't see that coming.
Because a lot of people were like, is this a work? Is it a shoot? But there was the fact that the hard camera went straight onto the Miz, and we're like, okay, that only usually happens when something has went down. Yep. And you've got to give props to Snoop. What that was a case of, how the fuck am I going to salvage this? I'll punch the Miz twice. And then do the Snoop elbow. That was not the people's elbow. It was the Snoop elbow. Because it was so much better.
The referee did call it. She did call for the people's elbow to get done, and that's what he done.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
I say it's the Snoop elbow. Well, that's an entirely unique being of its presentation and everything. Mainly because the glasses get thrown in. The glasses get thrown to the crowd. Instead of it being a wristband, it was the glasses.
I would have preferred for it to have been called the dog drop.
That could be something that we patent. Well, you get in touch with Snoop. We'll see what we can do with this one and see if we can get some money for it.
I mean, props to the Miz for getting his arse handed to him 3 times in 3 nights by people. Well, the first 2 were by people who don't know what they're doing in a fight. And then obviously on Raw it was Matt Riddle who is a legitimate fighter. He knows how to take himself into a fight. But the Miz is there. It's like, I'll do my job. I'll take my beatings.
Yeah.
So props to him.
Yeah, props to him. I mean, I know we're not giving any star ratings for this one, but I think we should give a courtesy star for Snoop for coming up with that on the fly. Especially on the grandest stage of them all, and many a wrestler has choked on the grandest stage of them all. Many a celebrity, many a person, anybody. Snoop did not choke when push came to shove. So good on him.
And he took him down with more style than what Pat McAfee done, so it deserves at least half a star.
Yeah. Toner, did you agree with that?
Oh, I mean, I would definitely be giving props to Snoop for what he done, 100%. No props to Shane.
Yeah.
But again, I do have to stress, what the fuck has the Miz done wrong? Do you know what I mean? Somebody fucking hates him. Because I was texting one of my mates at the time, and it was when this happened, and we're going, what the fuck has this guy done to somebody? Where Pat McAfee comes out and hands your ass to you. Shane begins to hand your ass to you, then takes a dive, then Snoop hooks you twice.
Oh, man. Well, that could
I
be
suppose in the grander scale of things, though, the Miz gets the last laugh. I mean, he just goes home at night and goes, yep, I've done a good job.
I've done my job. I get my pay. I bang my missus. All good.
And he doesn't care what size his balls are.
No.
I've got more money than Oi's. I don't care what size they are.
Fair dues to him. He done his job. He still got to be involved in WrestleMania. Fair dues to him. Right, so we come to the penultimate match of night 2, which was Edge defeating the Demon Finn Balor by pinfall in a Hell in a Cell. 18 minutes and 10 seconds. There was talk that Gangrel was meant to be making an appearance. Well, because it was this whole kind of brood Edge that was coming back. Well, and obviously it didn't turn up. Do you think that was like an opportunity missed, or do you think it was maybe a good thing in hindsight?
Oh, it was massively an opportunity missed. You know, it's WrestleMania, it's shock factors, you know, it's a bit of nostalgia as well. And this is an opportunity where you can give nostalgia without putting somebody that's not fit enough to be in a match anymore. Yeah, and still give that. I mean, there was the whole, apparently there was, and it was all spoke about, he was meant to have been there, and there was a spot going to be happening involving him. But then a lot of stuff changed at the last minute, and he ended up not fucking getting involved, which I do think was a massive opportunity missed, because it would have gave that nostalgia factor.
Yeah. I mean, apparently as well, Triple H had actually said to Christian, if Tony Khan okays it, you can come, and it can be a complete brood reunion. We'll pay you for the night. You know, no hard feelings to you. You've went to a rival company. You know, that's where you want to be. That's fine. But for Edge, for this one night, if you want. So the branch was thrown out to both of them. And again, opportunity missed, because that would have been fantastic.
Yeah, that would have certainly been something to see. But something that really, it just took the shine off it for me, we know the spot, Edge with a ladder, clock spin, it goes wrong. He's busted open. Normally in the Hell in a Cell matches that we grew up with, it would have been, is he breathing? Yeah, let's carry on. Finish it and then patch him up afterwards. Because of the new rules and the no blood policy, like, it was stop, get it done, get him sorted, get him stitched. Props to him for carrying on. I think he would have done that regardless, but a lot of people were saying at that point that this night was cursed. Do you guys agree with that analogy, or do you just think it was just a bit of bad timing? They were able to finish the match, fair dues.
I mean, I don't think they should have stopped to do anything. He could have got clean. He's had worse head injuries in Japan. I mean, he's actually got a big scar right across the top. See, like with the picture you see, and you see the gash there, like, that night. There's a big cut across here via a ladder being pile drived on top of his head in Japan, and that just sliced him, and that was twice as deep. And he continued that match. So that's why he was like, just leave it. And like, no, we need to clean it. So he's like, right, fine, do what you can, get it done quick.
You think it was maybe more like Toner, like it was more sponsors, and with this potential deal going through, it was like, do not fuck anything up, because we are so close to having this finalised?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was, I would have imagined by that point the deal was pretty much finalised anyway. But I think it was more to do with this whole PG era that they promote, and the whole no blood policy, is that's where the worries came in. You know, it was a shock for them. They didn't expect it to happen. You know, we've not seen gashes in the wrestling for years now.
In every sense.
Yes. And, you know, they just kind of get a bit worked up. I think there's got to be a bit of times in matches, especially in Hell in a Cell, especially in something that build up as far as this was, that, you know, for us in the era that we grew up in, you expect a bit of blood, you know, you expect, you know, a bit of kind of more hardcore than what we're used to these days. And that, for me, probably took the shine off it more, that I appreciate safety and everything else being kind of key and number one. But when they're not throwing up or showing any signs that they're hurting, that they feel that they can't continue, they know their body's better than anybody. So let them continue. and you can happily keep an eye on them from a safe distance without getting involved. You could then see after that how staggered the match became majorly. And this was probably one of the matches I was really, really looking forward to. I was already disappointed when the Brood didn't reunite because I had read a lot of the build-up to this, didn't happen. And then, the match started off, it was okay. And then when that spot happened, it just changed the whole complexion of the match.
So, star rankings, Tony will go with you first.
2.
Kev?
I'll say 2.5. Just because up until that point, it was one of the more enjoyable matches, and then it's like it did slow the pace down, but it's still one of the more enjoyable matches of this day. Probably the most enjoyable, actually.
Well, we come to the penultimate match, and by far not the penultimate, the finale. The penultimate is the one we just fucking talked about. Andrew, get a grip. So we come to the finale. Roman Reigns defeats Cody Rhodes via pinfall for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. The usual shenanigans, more shenanigans. The longest match of the night at 34 minutes and 35 seconds, the longest on the entire card. That controversy around, the outcome. Tony, you predicted it. We kind of had a discussion about it as well. Kev, did you predict it as well?
I did.
Well, I think
there's a way I would have put it out. There's a way that I would have built the entire 2 days, and that's not the way it was supposed to go. They've been building it for something, and they're taking it in another direction.
Yeah, well, Tony, when you and I discussed it, it was the one thing that was brought up, and it seems to be the consistent thing, is the 1,000-day mark.
He's too close to it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to drop that. There's no chance that's getting dropped. Do you know what, right? Reading a lot about it and seeing a lot about it, I totally appreciate that reading a lot and seeing a lot about it, that it's wrestling, the results are scripted, right? We all totally appreciate that, but that doesn't take away from the fact of you have built something so probably brilliantly, and the Cody Rhodes return. I mean, since he has came back, the way they've pushed him, the angle and direction he's took, the whole story around it has been perfect. This was finally a legitimate guy, challenger that you thought, holy shit, he could go into this now and finally dethrone him. There's not really been, and let's be honest, and all the people that he's defeated, there's been very few that you've genuinely sat there before the match and went, he could do it. The reason I didn't think he would was because he was close to the 1,000 days, but I did hope I was wrong. And the outcome was the outcome. And, the biggest question now has got to be around who defeats him. Will Cody get another shot down the line to then defeat him and have that kind of story ending, although it would be
too late.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the way you would want it to go. But will they? And they did kind of build the match in the sense around the match that could potentially happen with the interference. It didn't wasn't letting it get clean.
Yeah.
So it had kind of been still sitting there where you thought, well, do you know what? Maybe down the line, if that was in a cage or something, then maybe you've got that kind of angle to go on. Yeah. But realistically, who have they got sitting in that roster that's going to come out and beat them now?
Yeah. And it looked like it was building to that crescendo because you were also protecting Reigns' reputation because Kev and Sammy had came out. Kev had done his finisher, Sammy had done his finisher, Cody had done his finisher, and he thought, right, if he gets pinned there, you can still legitimately say he is the final boss because it's taken 3 guys to take him down. And then he comes out of it and it's unscathed, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? Since we're just going to talk about it anyway, we'll be talking about the deal most of the time. Do you think that Vince had a hand in this outcome? Do you think it was changed at the last minute? Because it seemed too good. It seemed like everything had lined up. All the stars were in alignment. We all were pretty much like, okay, this is what's going to go down. We were hoping that was what was going to go down. But the second I saw that fucking pencil thin mustache, I knew shenanigans were going to come, and it wasn't going to be in the ring. It was going to be outside the ring. Do you think Vince had the creative control at that point? Because it was a Vince script. That was a Vince play, a Vince ploy, a shite ploy, basically.
It was a Vince play, but I don't think he had anything to do with it.
No, I totally agree. Apparently he didn't. Apparently this was all done.
Yeah.
He only came in and started taking a bit of control during Raw.
Yeah.
For Mania, he had allowed that to build up, which actually the outcome does also make a bit of sense when you remember previously Triple H saying things like, sometimes it's the shock factor, sometimes it's the building a story up, so much so that everyone jumps in the bandwagon, thinks that that's going to be the result and that's going to be the outcome, and then we take it away from under their feet.
Yeah. Think about WrestleMania 17.
Yeah, but I think
Austin and Rock.
Yeah.
Right? That came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Nobody expected that.
But I do think that's what's going to be the ultimate tinge on this. Well, it's not going to be a tinge on the pay-per-view itself, because the pay-per-view itself is no WrestleMania 17. But the match itself was going to WrestleMania 17 style levels in terms of the storytelling, but everybody goes to that finish and just goes, what? Now, I'm of the camp that believed it couldn't have went any other way with WrestleMania 17.
Well,
But,
the way
in this case, I saw the way it could have ended. It was they literally played it out, and then they just went, okay, whoop. And that's where the difference is for me.
The way I had it playing out was, so on the first night with the tag match, I had the bloodline completely breaking up. This is how the story should have been, right? Jimmy and Jay lose the titles. They split. The next night, as the match is coming to a finish, Roman's in the corner, half-dead. Solo comes in. Roman gets up, says, kill him, because the referee's done. Solo turns on Roman and walks away. That is how I thought. That is how you should play this out. That would legitimately make it easy enough for them to have Roman drop the titles. It's the only way that it's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Is for his family to turn his back on him, and he's left with just Paul Heyman. That is the way I said to somebody. It was a wrestling forum thing I was talking on. I was like, this is the only legitimate way that they will lose, that Roman will drop the titles. It's the only way they can make it go.
Right.
And they didn't play it that way, and that's how things went.
Yeah. Right. Star ratings, Kev?
1.5 at a push.
Dora?
I'm at a 1.
This video is brought to you in association with 7 Million Bikes Podcasts, providing a comprehensive step-by-step service, as well as accessing a range of affiliate partnerships to provide you with discounts on your podcasting journey. For a free consultation, the link will be in the description of this video.
So, what would you say would be your overall star rating for WrestleMania 39 Night 2? We'll start with Tona.
1.5.
So, overall, you're still saying Night 1 is better? What?
That says just about, yes.
Well, it's by a whole star, since you gave 2.5 for Night 1. Kev?
Again, 1.5. No big surprises, especially with it coming up to 1,000 days. I think they're going to try and push it for like 7 years, so they can say, oh, Bob Backlund isn't the longest reigning champion ever.
All right. Could be interesting. I seen a couple of memes that was like, this is how long Roman Reigns has been champion, and it was like when he was fresh faced, and had like no grey hairs in his beard to like, you know, it's almost all grey, and like a lot and a lot more tattoos. And I was like, well, yeah, fairness, I can kind of see that and get it, but
Yeah.
But so we'll talk about like the announcement of the merger with UFC and WWE. So that's meant to be worth over 21 billion over the course of the next few years. Tor, you're a UFC guy as well as a WWE guy. Do you think good business all round, or do you think there's going to be trouble ahead?
Well, I mean, I think it's like everything. You know, there's the potential that this could be phenomenal for wrestling. There's the potential it could be absolute shit. Again, it's just going to be based on how it gets run and how it gets used and things get utilised. I mean, when you look at where the UFC came from to what they are now, is phenomenal. Some of the star power and pulling power that they've got, and they've got quite a lot of wrestling fans and amongst some of their big stars. You know, the potentials are crossovers and that. And I'm not saying that I'm a big fan of it, but when it's done correctly, you know, it can be. I mean, Brock Lesnar is obviously a perfect example of somebody that can bounce between the two. So is Rousey, Vasquez. Least said about that, the better. But there's opportunities where it can work. I think, though, that it's going to be more of a how the business is built and how the brand and what they've got is pushed more so than, because bear in mind, it's the company that own UFC that have kind of bought over. So the parent company of both is the same. How many times do we see that, you know, it could be for the next couple of years that they run completely separate and there's no real works or crossovers, and then it can kind of build up to stuff. I would just hope, though, that it wouldn't turn it into a bit of a circus, and when somebody's not doing great in the UFC, it's a case of, let's see if we can fling them over to the wrestling and see if they can get a bit of kind of push that way. Although Adesanya's already spoke about, once he's finished doing what he wants to do in the octagon, bouncing over. And McGregor clearly has already had something to say, which surprised me it took him as long, to be fair. But I would say somebody like McGregor, somebody that I think if he came over, his mic work would be phenomenal. Don't know if his in-ring work would be as up to par. And Adesanya's a massive wrestling fan. You know, he's come out to UFC fights and The Undertaker's theme music. So he's a big for it. But yeah, I suppose it's just how they look to play it out now. It's where it's going to come down to. I would like to say that they run as separate entities, as it's just the parent company that have got it. And then, you know, only can I do a crossover or a deal or anything like that if it's the right move to do. But the annoyance is because UFC, and let's be honest, it's cage fighting, it's brutal, it's real. There's a lot less wrestlers you're expecting to bounce over there and fight as opposed to the other way about. So it could actually potentially turn the wrestling into a circus.
Yeah. There's very few people in WWE just now that could legitimately go and have a spot in the octagon and go, right, who wants a fight? And actually take a fight. There's not very many that I think could handle it. Whereas with the opposite way around, it's easy to go from an actual fighter to the scripted work that they do in the WWE. Because yes, it's still physical. They've proved they can do that in the octagon, whereas it's not as physical with the WWE. I'm not saying it's not physical. I know people who are legitimate fighters. I know people who are in the ICW in Glasgow, and it's two completely different worlds. And when you try and mix them, If it's done right, it's good. But I think they should take it slow. And maybe in like 2 or 3 years, once everything's settled in, maybe have a cross-promotion thing, see how that goes. But they shouldn't just rush in, which I think the way things are going, they probably will rush in.
Yeah, it seems to be like Vince's style in many cases, just jump in without permission.
Yeah. I mean,
excuse me, I had to sneeze there, but I do have a question about what was for the final one to round off. What the Monday Night Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania, and there was backstage politicking all around.
as always.
Yes, as always. There's a reason why my nose is playing up more, because there's a lot of bullshit around it. Because there was Vince traits in it. Brock turns heel. That's kind of the main one. But what do you guys think of the Raw after WrestleMania?
I honestly think it was. I always get quite excited for the Raw after Mania because it's renowned as always being the best Raw. There's a lot of surprises. People stepping up from NXT, people coming back after being injured, debuts happening, new storylines starting, things moving forward. It had to have been one of the most disappointing Raws I have ever watched in my life. And you could clearly tell there was a lot of Vince McMahon on it. I mean, even somebody like Seth Rollins, who is so far over, it's unreal, getting his spot cut due to timing.
Yeah.
And no wonder there's a video circling about of him chucking the mic and being pissed off, because you totally got to get it. There's a guy that puts any kind of aura that he's given, character that he's asked to play, he goes into that and he just makes it his own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Let's be honest, right? Look at some of the fucking stuff he's come out wearing. And you're like, Jesus Christ. But he makes it work.
Aye.
He makes it work so much that the crowd love it. Everybody's right for him. And then something like that getting cut. They then dubbed the main event to be the biggest main event in Raw history. It didn't even fucking go ahead.
Yep.
So what was the point? They made this massive build-up for that to be the biggest main event in Raw history. And it never happened.
Yeah. And another thing we never touched on from WrestleMania was the Bobby Lashley thing. Well, he was due to fight Bray Wyatt. That never happened. So he got flung into like the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial. Well, and the only thing he had to do on WrestleMania was come out, get the trophy, and fuck off.
Yep.
And I think that was a big disservice to him. But what do you guys think?
I mean, fair enough. Bray Wyatt did come down with some illness that meant that he couldn't wrestle. They could have come up with something better
for
Bobby Lashley
to
do. There. Exactly. They could have had Bobby Lashley come down saying, yeah, Bray Wyatt's out with a illness, and as you can see, I'm here ready to wrestle. So, where's my match? Lights go down. Uncle Howdy's behind him. I mean, because
that would have been better than what we got with Bobby Lashley, in fairness.
Exactly.
Especially, I think, because of the run he's had this year, over the course of the year, he'd had a great run, and I think it was a massive disservice to him. I was really ticked off with that when I seen it. I was just like, no, just.
I would have been more ticked off if he wasn't so fucking boring.
And Toner comes in with the controversial card just at the tail end of the night. He's like, Lashley, fod.
He's bored. I mean, cannot take away from his in-ring work, the physicality of the guy, but Jesus fucking Christ, I mean, giving him a microphone is like watching a 5-year-old trying to fucking pronounce French. Do you know what I mean? What the fuck is that shit?
Yeah, my kids have just turned 5.
That's why, see, when they put him with MVP in the Hurt Business,
I thought that was
good.
Brilliant.
That was good because, you give MVP a night, he'll do a promo for like 6 hours.
Yeah, MVP to Lashley was like Heyman to Lesnar in the early days.
Exactly.
And that's what Lashley needs. He needs a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Because he's not it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And the MVP scenario worked, and it worked brilliantly. And the fact that they ended that as soon as they did was probably a bigger disservice to him than what he got at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that Lashley has had the raw end of the stick on multiple occasions. Like I think he's another one who could actually benefit probably from this merger, because he is like a legitimate, like, beast. Well, I would personally love to see a Lashley Lesnar proper octagon fight. Maybe back when they were both a bit more in their prime, but yeah, I would have loved to see that.
I've watched.
I would just love to see CM Punk to come back and just get his ass handed to him. Yeah. That'd be great. But yeah, that's my point. But yeah, in terms of wrestling kind of going forward, because like after WrestleMania, it's like the start of the wrestling calendar year for going forward. Are you guys worried? Because I am very worried.
I'm a bit worried because I also watched Stand and Deliver, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch this. It's part of the WrestleMania weekend, essentially. And I've not been keeping up with NXT because it was so up and down and up and down. And then it's like, it was going places, and then Vince came in and said, no, I'm taking over full control. And then it just completely dropped.
There's a pattern emerging.
Yeah. And I've not really get back into it, but I watched it, and that pay-per-view was more enjoyable than the 2 nights in WrestleMania.
Interesting words. What about you, Tora? Are you worried about the direction that's kind of looking like it's going?
I think at points, yes. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's too far away from being rescued. You would kind of hope that recent events and recent kind of things, like, calmer heads would prevail and the right decision would get made. Because let's very quickly think about it. I mean, Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar feud, that could be outstanding. What we don't like is the manner in which it was done.
Yeah.
And I get that.
I think that's a good feud. In fairness, I think that's going to be a banger of a feud, but only if it's done right. Yeah,
but the thing is, the manner in it's the reason that everyone's pissed off, which I get because I was one of them. The manner in which it came about was the shit part of that, but the overall goal could potentially be outstanding, and I think that's the same for a lot of it. I think that I'm not worried on talent and who they've got to feud and go up against one another. It's always about the manner in which it's done. Again, I think a massive issue is going to be who takes the title from Reigns.
Yeah, I think that is a massive problem.
Legitimately, the only way they could have done it was at WrestleMania there.
Yeah,
but that's the thing, they've not. So when he reaches the 1,000 days, who takes it from him? Because you're honestly pissing into the wind here if you're telling me that they are legitimately going to bring The Rock back to take that off him and then drop it 2 months later.
Yeah. I think
for me would be a massive slap in the face.
No matter who is lined up now, no matter who's lined up to end this run, is Brock Lesnar the streak. It's the same deal, like, because so many people have debated, they could have done it with Shawn Michaels. So many people debated it should have been Edge. Taker they wanted it to be Edge the first time, and he flat out refused. And then you get to Lesnar, he does it. We are all stunned. My innocence died that fucking night. I was the white version of that guy in the gift. Because I just remember sitting with when we meet Billy, I just went, well, that's it, I'm done. And no matter who has this thing with Reigns, whoever takes the title off him, they're gonna get flack. Because everybody's gonna say it should have been Cody at WrestleMania 39.
Yep.
I feel
you're not going to get people coming in going, I'm going for the title. People are going to be told, you're having a match. You're having a match after that. You're doing a run with Roman.
Yeah, and I think it is.
It's not going to be you're getting a title match. It's like you're going up against Roman. You'll have a story. 3 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah,
well,
and it won't be worth
before, it. The only person I think, I know they're injured, but that when they come back, active wrestler that can take that from them legitimately is Orton. It's 100% the only one fit that can.
In my case, I disagreed with it. Not because I don't believe that he isn't worthy of it, because of course I do. He's paid his dues. Like, he's a great, brilliant wrestler, brilliant talent, brilliant athlete. Has proved time and time again he can turn like a chicken shit into a chicken salad. It's like, but if you're going to say that, you might as well say bring Cena back and get it, because they came from the same mold. They came from the same milk. That's like saying, Brock defeat Roman. He's tried to take him on 4 times now, and he still hasn't fucking done it. Well, it's the same deal. They've all came from that 2002 mold, and it's like asking. It was like when it was the once in a lifetime feud with Cena and The Rock, and The Rock came back and beat him. I personally think that shouldn't have happened, because I was like, he's inactive. It should once in a lifetime, then it became twice. But it's the same deal with Roman. Like, that'll be for their generation as well. Don't bring a guy back who's had his prime to come and take a title off him and potentially get injured and drop it. Because he's injured. Because he's injured.
Yeah, but Orton, it's not bringing Orton back. Orton's always been an active wrestler. He's just injured.
He's been active since 2002. Constantly.
Yeah, but the problem
he's been off with an injury.
Yeah, but the injuries are more consistent now. They're more prone. What I personally think, I would, and as much as I hate to say this, because I fucking hate this guy, I would actually think Matt Riddle over Randy Orton. He's younger, he's got more of a chance to make a name. He's more active, he's got a unique style. But I personally think he's a douche, so I've no way in hell do I want Matt Riddle fucking taking that. I would go with Orton over it, but it would be that type of thing. They'd be like, okay, we don't have anybody that we can bring in. We'd have to go back to the old guy.
The only way they would put on a big title like that on Matt Riddle is if he was completely 100% clean.
Yeah,
and that's not going to happen.
And that's not going to happen. So that the only title they'll put on him is a tag title.
Yeah, I don't want Riddle to
possibly the US title now and again.
No, I don't even want Riddle in that. I'm just like, no, Riddle, fuck off. I don't like you.
As a legitimate fighter, Matt Riddle can fight. I mean, he has done MMA fighting. He can legitimately kick people's asses.
Oh yeah, he's fucking brutal.
Could he legitimately come in and beat up Roman easily? He could probably do it with his eyes shut.
Probably has done it with his eyes shut.
But they're not going to push him.
I don't want them to push him. I don't want him to push him at all. I wouldn't even give him in the car. I wouldn't even take him back. Fuck him. I don't like him. At all. First time I even saw him, I thought, you're a prick. I don't like you. You're just a watered down punk ass RVD. RVD 100 times better, 1,000 times better. Even when he was stoned, he was still did a better job. It's the same deal.
Especially when it was stoned.
Yeah, but it's the same deal. We're looking back. With Orton, it's looking back to the past to try and take on essentially the present. We need someone that's going to be a future. It's why I thought, well, if we're doing a reset, massively push Gunther. Get him built up, get the IC title off him, and then really push him, because I think he could be a good threat if built properly. He's got the Vince look. He's a tank. He is going through everybody. He's building his rep. I think given that year, WrestleMania 40, I think that he could do it. I think he could be someone that would go, okay, fair enough. And then you have Sheamus and Drew just in the mid-card. For the Intercontinental title, make that into an IC feud going forward. But again, I'm looking at it from more of an outsider's perspective. I just think that I wouldn't begrudge Randy Orton in the slightest. I just think that would be the same deal as us going, yeah, let's bring back The Rock. It's just my own opinion. I would rather push someone that's going forward.
And a lot of the talk has been about The Rock coming back. Obviously, it's consistently, as we know, it's consistently, but whether he does or he doesn't is always one of the fucking hot topics building up to Rumbles and Manias and stuff. Yeah. But I would say if the way to go was bring The Rock back and have him drop it to The Rock, or Orton comes back from being injured and have him drop it to Orton, I would always go with the Orton side of it because he's been active for longer. And I think that it's then perhaps easier because Orton, as we agreed, wouldn't begrudge him having it. So Orton takes it, has that other run, and then during that time, you have built somebody like Gunther who can then legitimately take it from him and then go and have multiple feuds with different guys and then kind of push it again. I just think right now in the business, had Orton been fit and kicking about the now, is there anybody about that's active that you can say if Reigns went into a feud with him and dropped it, you know, we would be like, well, yeah, he could definitely drop it to that guy. And I think they are now becoming few and far between.
They really are.
If it isn't like Randy Orton coming back to take the title, I mean, if they do that, which, you know, I'm completely behind, they do that, then Cody and Randy feud, legacy feud.
Yeah, true.
Then Cody gets the title.
Yeah. At the same time, we've got to look at where Orton was before he got injured as well. He was tag team. He was solid tag team that thing. And Orton himself was loving it. He was saying it was the best work he was doing of his career. He was happy, he was enjoying it. He was admitting that he was kind of more like not on the wind down, but like it was more consistent schedule. He was still active, but there was a guy like Matt Riddle that was able to kind of bounce in when he needed it. And so we could say, yeah, Orton, 100%. That's what I would say, 100%. But Orton might not want to do it at the same time. But we'll see. It's an interesting debate to end it on, I would say. Because there's loads of guys that we've not talked about, you know, that it looked like that we're going to do it. Sami Zayn, realistically, was a no, but from the build-up was a possibility for the underdog story, like the Mick Foley kind of thing. Drew McIntyre, when it was at Cardiff, again, we talked about that's a possibility because all of a sudden they made them Welsh.
Yeah.
Just to try to say, oh, we can maybe get the title off him. And that didn't happen. And then it looked like finally it was going to be Cody Rhodes, third time's a charm, but then fucking happen. Yeah. So it just feels like it's been so consistent now. It's like I would not be surprised if one of the two situations happens. A, Triple H comes out of retirement for one match, literally walks in, pedigrees him, and takes the title, and we've got a new reign of terror. Or Hulk Hogan comes in, leg drop, 1, 2, 3, brother.
Hogan can't walk.
Yeah,
they'll wheel him down. People will put him into the ring. They'll just throw the wheelchair.
Yeah. He can't walk, but I would be like, okay, this is the stage we're going to get to, guys. Either the game's going to come out of retirement, or Ric Flair's going to come back for another one last match. Well, or The Rock's coming back, or Austin's coming back, or that's the way it's going to go.
Hogan from the wheelchair and top him.
I would realistically not rule out them somehow getting the Ultimate Warrior back from the dead, and just putting it and just putting his corpse on him, and just going, okay, Ultimate Warrior got it now. We're cool. Everything's fine now. But yeah, that's the kind of work we're dealing with. Or Undertaker WrestleMania. I could again, something that I'm like, it shouldn't happen, but you could realistically see it.
Or do you think they'll give Rey Mysterio another push?
Let's I'm done with the wrestling. I'm done with the podcast. I'm fucking done with it all. Any wrestling shit I've got in this house is bumped.
Oh man. I think on that he's got your number and it's 619. I think that's actually the best play to call it tonight on that one. But yeah, guys, always good to shoot the shit. and talk about this stuff. Thanks again for doing it. We'll be back to the normal kind of, the classic matches after this. Stay tuned for them. And until next time, you've been John Toner, Kevin Tierney, and myself, Andrew Darling, on Raw is Ginger. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.
Cheers.